let me continue where I had interrupted because sort of I got tired and I could not use the mouse well. So, once again I have three things. I have a computer which I operate by hand, and then I have a what you call touch PC in which I have access to the internet, plus I have these two cameras. So, I do not know where to start, but maybe for today's this section, because you may have been saturated, allow me to start with this monitor in which what is called the number of these what you call YouTube videos and these things are available. A very large number are available. So, my suggestion is just to give a hit on what the 3D printing process is, and then you can see how to go about it. So, obviously, there are 2, 3, 4 different items to it. One is the 3D printing itself, there are several variants on it. One of the variants is that it can be very simple fused filament depositing method, by which a small filament goes around, and a lot depends on the thickness of the filament. So, you will see some of these demonstrations. Secondly, related to this is one part of it is the technology, other part of it is actually the application of the product. Please have a look at this model which I have kept there. I am sure quite a few of you have seen this and felt the same frustration as I have felt about it. This is a ubiquitous battery bank. You see, this battery bank is fully loaded with cells, various types of cells and so on. This is one of the bigger ones. You have 10 cells, and this is where a little bit of marketing and salesmanship is there, meaning I do not know, something has to be done about it. But why I brought it is the core part of it is here is the plastic part, and you see here, and in this plastic part, one of the first thing you will notice is that there are several places things are expected to go and snap in place. Already not just snap in place, it snapped out of place. With my repeated attempt to try to take it out, everything is broken, and same thing happens here. There is a small lip given here. Now, and this whole thing is expected that it sits neatly here, and I do not know how it is, and you will not see any gap in this. While it is very convenient and easy for you to make this in mass production using what you call injection molding, we still have a little bit of a problem when we would like to make this in our home 3D print, or in our case our institutional 3D print. One of the first thing is, and the application is known, the detailing is slightly different between our 3D printing which we can do at a low scale, professional 3D printing, and finally eventually large scale mass manufacture using injection molding. One of the first things about it is the feature size and the material properties. Such material which is easy to load and continue with it is obviously little weak. You see here, some of you would have seen it, it comes with rechargeable cells. Rechargeable cells, this whole thing is injection molded as a single piece, probably in the flat condition, and the word chameleon is written on it. So, chameleon has given this so that you can carry two of them without short circuiting, and the feature here is you have a living hinge. Follow, there is a living hinge application here, meaning once the material is done several times you can continue with it without any problem, but a lot of it again depends on the material that is used here. So, things like this for just a simple demonstration, and this thing you can do it on as said home 3D, then professional require special materials to manage these things. Now, if you see here, similar thing, this one is a small box, I do not know what it came with, and here two components are there. One part of the, this is also a what you call, it appears to be a slightly rigid plastic. I will not venture out to say what it is, probably modified some styrene thing. This clearly is a little lower price styrene. Only difference is opaque colored, this is translucent, transparent, eventually it has become, and there is certain detailing here saying there is a ring here and how well it sits here. Now these things are a matter of trial and error. So when you adopt these things you have to think a little thing about it, saying but right now at least the manufacturers claim they can give you materials of any consistency, any what you call springiness, this is a little hard, and then any type of physical properties. But I said two famous examples of household plastic items are Tupperware. If you see the Tupperware lid is a special lid, and it seems to last forever, and 20-year-old Tupperware containers are there, the base is one type, the cover is one type, and they stay together. The other is Lego. Lego, I do not know who makes the plastic for them. I understand the plastic itself is a very special thing which they have made. So there the focus is other than design, the material also is very, very critical. So this thing extends to various type of things here. Now let me see, I want you to see the demo here. Table is raised and you see this is of course exaggerated because it is an animation. That filament is being melted, I don't know, melted, yeah, its molten filament is being what do you call spread on it. So if you see as it spreads on it, so several options are there, you see here layer by layer something is being built. So the bottommost was a type. Now just so that it is it runs in front of you, they have made this layer. It is made a little faster and faster so that you can see animation is speeded up to see how well things get built up. If you look at it from the top, I am sorry, from the bottom looking towards the top, you will see that something needs to be done to ensure that things fit properly. You have a beautiful what looks like a communication tower, good. So we have this. Similarly, if you now go, so many of them, we have what do you call beautiful these things. Let me what do you call exit full screen and then check organic shapes in metal. I am not very familiar with it except that I found it on the internet. I thought it might interest you, and then I have just shown it here, saying you have all sorts of jewelry, then curiosities, then maybe eventually right now they tell me that even engineering products are very much ready for it. So I mean you can see it here, but eventually just see, and afterwards try to go to the internet and see how best you can do it. So we have a tray which is probably filled with some sand, and I am not very sure what the exact process is. So some amount of leveling is being done. From here the process starts. Watch. See, layer by layer something is being cured, probably using lasers or some other technique. Since as I said I am not very familiar, you can read it up yourself. Eventually after all the curing and everything is over and they release it, we have after the what I call that mold is when what you call molding sand is removed, your object is slowly getting ready. At the moment this particular picture shows a little, it looks a little like a novelty, but when the product comes out you will feel happier saying, you see, we have something which is there. In contrast, it is very much possible for us to make, see here it is not a single stage process, something has been done and the after the curing has been done, the molding sand is being blown out, it is actually being blown out and sucked out. So, you have an object which is, I am not sure what exactly it is, but you have it, it is a piece of art, it is a piece of everything it looks like. Now you see what it is. Seahorse sitting on something else. Okay. So, then that seahorse is actually a support. So, after that probably now they will try their then you see here something else is being added, and then eventually it is being prepared for sand blasting. You see what will happen after all the sand blasting, everything is done and the object is taken out. You will be happy to see, oh, it looks like tumbling, what do you call, shot blasting, tumbling. After the object is over, you will see a nice beautiful seahorse, which not very long ago, meaning maybe around 25-30 years back, was only a dream. Once all the thing is sealed and then the whole thing is turned over, and I do not know whether it is heated or vacuumed or anything, you will have both the things separated. That is, you have the support which is separated from the seahorse. See there? Oh my God, it is a handle with a marine motif on that. Looks cute. This is the beauty of, and then afterwards they have painted it, plated it. One of them probably has a gold plating, and one of them has other options, and then you have a series of beautiful structures. And in fact, you see here all sorts of houses and everything is being made. One more before I quit, I wanted to see this powder additive powder bed thing. I am sure you will like it. Just let it start. After that I will go back to you to the dull 3D part of it. You see, all of them, whenever you use powder handling, the powder thing, first thing seems to be how to creating the object is relatively easy. You have a mathematical equation, and then you can apply the what I call mathematical equation and generate this. This looks like a turbocharger blade. So, if you see the turbocharger blade, it has a, instead of just the normal 3D profile, you have so many other things. So, what is being done is a laser somewhere is sitting and sintering the powder locally. So, with this, the only whatever material you want stays there, everything else outside can be shaken off and reused again. So, that laser is slowly, layer by layer, it is sintering the parts. See, that is a beauty. So, a 1 kilowatt laser with about what you call 0.1 millimeters goes about, powder is being applied and slowly that thing is being lowered. As it is being lowered, and finally when you open the door and you manipulate it, that is an animation of how well it is taken, and then if you remove all the powder from everywhere, we have the beautiful objects that is sitting there. It is a little like somebody asked a sculptor, how do you manage that such beautiful things, we only have a stone there and all that. He says nothing, I see the what do you call my object inside and I remove all the unwanted portion. Easier said than done. But you see here, even here those of the vertical things are not fully cleared, there are still places which need probably a little bit of cleaning and knocking off and all that. You have seen this, no? That is a various types of objects, including the previous object which you have seen. Anyway, you see it, you can, I suggest you can go back and see it. While the finished part looks fine, there are little bit of stages for you to get into this stage. So, aluminum impeller is meant for the turbo chargers. So, I suggest you can go to the internet and check these things. Now, I will stop here because it gets extremely interesting, and let me get to the boring part. One of our people said it was boring, hence my remark. Please look at my computer, watch it, what I was doing yesterday. Yesterday, if you remember, I started with a funny looking boss here and I made it full. Now, if I go here and make it here, do you remember this? This was meant for that printed circuit board to sit on it. So, I have sort of I made it offline and I wanted to show you, because yes, it is boring unless somebody is actually making it, it is not easy to. Now, two variants of details are there. You see here, this detail here shows same circular hole, but supported directly on the walls through small supports in this. This is where your trial and ingenuity and all comes, and a lot depends very much on your application. And the other end, the same thing I have now tried to modify it, saying maybe functionally this itself is sufficient for me, because for me making a drawing is easy and then maintaining a necessary thickness is easy, and it looks different. That one was a circular hole here, instead here I have a square hole. So, depending on if I do a little bit of a trial and error with one or two parts, I can get a ideal pilot square hole, and then see it knits neatly. And right now I will hide it, I will go back to the other object which was here. You remember this? This was the screw hole which for adjusting the potentiometer in the previous printed circuit board. I have provided a small step here, instead of having what looks obviously like a something which is too long, it needs a tremendous amount of concentration and attention to have your that trimmer screwdriver into this. So, one of our operators suggested that I provide a counter bore. This is very similar to the other square hole which I was talking to you about. The square hole also will be equally okay here, and then you see other side to make it support itself and to prevent any untoward stress concentration. I have provided a small circular opening here. So, thing is slightly things are better now. I will just close it and I will go into the next one. This I wanted to show you actually first, but then now you will understand. Can you see this? This is what I had started with yesterday. This one may take a little more, it's easier to fabricate, it looks familiar. It takes a little more material, it takes a little more what do you call careful way of positioning things, and while it is a very real novelty item, the finished product at this corner may or may not look nice. You see here I have ended up with a very funny looking corner there. We do not know how these corners will develop. So, it is in our interest to go and smoothen the part, make them easier and easier to fabricate. So, I will still call it a matter of what do you call a trial, in that I have still ended up with a not a very comfortable thing there, but I have just left it there because for some other point it may be valid. I will now close this, I will move on to the next one. See what has been done here is, now we need to take a call. The other previous one what you had have already had a cover like thing. Now it is for us to decide whether we would like to make it in two parts and we would like to put one over the other, and this makes sense because if I remember earlier one of them we wanted to make it out of a metal which will used as a heat sink. So in this case, while the metallic portion can be used as a heat sink, the other side if you make a transparent cover, it will be ideal for us for demonstration. So, if you make up a hollow body like this, we can attach whatever you want on each side. See in this, on the other side, one side we can have a heat sink, other side can have a hollow thing, so that other people can, whomever you are demonstrating can easily see this. Plus one more very important thing is, you have access from both sides. So, you can happily carry out any modifications, you do whatever you like with it. I hope you got my point, why I have made it open on both sides. I have access here, so that as a prototype job I can do anything in this, and covering it is very easy. All I have to do is, it is made from the same job as before, and they just got copied. Yeah. Now, if the same box I have an option of having different type of a cover. In case I do not need continuous what you call tuning while it is in circuit, I probably do not need this detail at all, because it is only likely to contaminate and make these things non dust proof. So, in that case I just need to have a simple flat cover. Seen that when if you can make the box only with the essential details, in my case exactly it is about the printed circuit board. So, I can go around and then check anything. If you have things like a thing here, that is the reason why I brought it here. Can you see here? You will not believe that is a small LED here. These small LEDs are supposed to come and show themselves up on the outside, and it is logical for us to just make them as small chip LEDs, we just show whatever the status is. Now, corresponding onto the other side, they have made a beautiful light pipe and a lens arrangement. Underneath we have a acrylic light pipe, then I have a packing here, and then on top whole thing is neatly sitting here. For working out these details, maybe it is very good to start with a plain this thing, make an opening here, check whether things are okay. Finally, when you measure, and does it make sense probably to make a small lens here, bubbles, 4 bubble lengths, maybe does it show, but the moment you try to enlarge something, total intensity comes down. So, in this case these are small cheap LEDs, the smallest possible available, and they do not take much current, probably they are around 5 milliamperes, and intense, I mean sensitive enough, and if you put a pipe thing like this and close it, it serves the purpose extremely well. And it gives, it's like if you see our traffic lights, you see a hood around it, it serves like a hood. And then you see here, to prevent leakage between the thing, they have used a barrier, which is a rubber, black rubber barrier. So, that ensures that everything sits properly. And this is where I wanted to show you. You see this, we have small tiny screws. These screws need support, and as if it were not enough, we also have a switch here. So, this actuator may be part of this, and the actual switch and all may be on the printed circuit board. So, I am a little, what do you call, I am thrilled that things like this, it is very easy, and depending on your thing, large number of things can be made. Now, at this point I will now show you something my colleague has helped me. Yeah. Yes. Exactly. See, this is the drawing has been loaded onto our patch program for making the part. And you see here, first of all, certain basic checks are done, saying are the unintended things, and most simple surface modelers are not very good in 3D operations, especially if you take two 3D what you call objects and try to remove one from the other, use any Boolean operation. So, one of the Boolean operation is you have some solid in which you remove something, you remove a core. So, if you have a nice solid like this, I need to have this pen sit inside, or I have to need to this pen sit inside. All I have to create is an in between neutral object and one object here, and one and the other if I remove, I have the cavity and then I have the matching piece here. The moment I have this, it is very easy for me, and all these are very conveniently done in Boolean operations. That is the advantage these days, no? It is relatively easy for us to make what are typically beautiful geometric objectives. It was not easy at once upon a time. Right now, this of course is only a dead, I am sorry, it is only a weighted object. You can even maybe build intelligence into it, wireless something, senses this, and then when I play with it, all this stuff can be easily made using Boolean operations. Now, please look at my that screen there, nothing, it is a little far away object, and then the way the depending on the program that is built, they have tried to make it appear, instead of as a simple smooth object, make it look a little like the structure that is likely to be achieved, saying, see, it has a very grainy looking structure. Seen that, no? You can see there are vertically they are built up, and then in this corner if you see, it is likely the final project will actually look like this. Finally, when you make the product, it may look like this. So, again coming back, I have a circular thing here, I have a square thing there. Yeah. Now, this is a monitor problem when we try to capture, and I am not very clear about it. When the demonstration comes, you will be able to see. First of all, each plane is identified here. In this case, it is probably the xy plane. Why this is required is, often we have a confusion when we try to build it up. So, how do you orient the object, which is the bottom, which is the top, and then do you make it sit on its side, or you make it like this, is where you need to use these colors, and yes, in this is the opposite side of the same thing, same one here, same thing. So, finally, this completely welded single shot object is probably will come out of it, and easy for us to make things. This is where something else which I have spoke to you is also possible. If you have the basic object, a middle shell, and then I have the what I call top cover of different operations, it is very much possible for me to take it to this particular software and do the Boolean operations here. So, we are able to actually build various things here.